Hey, rock stars, it's Kristin Thompson, and I am so excited to be back for another episode of the Highly Visible Entrepreneur Series. Today's guest, he's already shadow boxing. He is ready to knock you out. He's Chris Weiser of the Chris Weiser Agency. Thanks for joining me, friend.
Absolutely. How you doing, dear?
I am so pumped. I have been really excited about you. I mean, everybody, but really you. I've been super pumped because you are absolutely knocking it out of the ballpark right now with LinkedIn. You are sharp. You are fun. I know everybody's going to love you. And I know my tribe was already sharing with me earlier this week that they were so excited to hear your training.
I need to record all that because I want to play that for my wife like on loop.
Right?
I love it.
So true. Well, it is all true. And it's why I wanted to invite you onto the series. I think I had asked in my Facebook on my page a while back, like, who is absolutely rocking it in LinkedIn? And you know whose name came up over and over again? It was Chris Weiser. So
Cool.
We are so lucky to have you.
That's good. Yeah.
So how, if you were going to explain to people what you do for your clients around LinkedIn, how do you describe the work you do with people?
So it's first of all, we have a pretty big LinkedIn training course, and that's really, we focus far more on the education than the actually doing it as an agency side of thing per se. We use it all internally, but I'm way more of a teacher, trainer, coach. And I focus on a very specific vertical. I used to own a large IT firm up in the Milwaukee market, sold it 4 years ago. My wife and I relocated to Austin. I'm actually sitting in the Austin WeWork right now. So I don't have an office. I'm one of those digital nomad guys that doesn't have an office, but
yeah.
And what I do, I'm very much a practice what I preach kind of guy. And the fact that I have a very specific vertical and focus on a vertical is exactly what I recommend other people do too. So that's how my training works and all the stuff that we work on inside of Linked Academy. And that's one of the most important things, is to make sure you hyper focus on a niche or a vertical to really get yourself maximized exposure. And it's really important. And you don't necessarily have to only work with that vertical, but having your LinkedIn messaging and what's cool about this is you can actually take the same campaigns that you build for LinkedIn and you can expand them to cold calling or cold prospecting or cold email. You can pick it up and move it all over the place. And it's really, really critical to make sure that your messaging is hyper focused on the vertical, not necessarily, this is only who we're going to ever service. No, we're not saying that. We're just saying, sure, marketing campaign, make sure you do that. So that's basically what we teach in LinkedIn, and making sure you have strategy and accountability and an actual plan versus, hey, I'm going to connect with 4,000 people and then we'll see what happens. Nothing works that way, right?
Yeah, and I think that brings us to an important topic, because I feel like, first off, everybody knows LinkedIn is massive and there's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of money, like real, businesses, not just people macrameing hats for a hobby. But that being said, I feel like it's developed a little bit of a reputation for being kind of spammy. And I know like nobody wants to feel like they're spamming people. So on that note, like, what are mistakes that you see people make when they go to LinkedIn to market themselves? Like, what are some of the common oops or misconceptions or myths that are kind of slowing people down?
So I think the first thing is making sure that your profile actually looks professional and that you're giving some examples of what you do. I encourage all of you, go look at my LinkedIn profile. It's just Chris Weiser as it is on the screen. You can look at that, connect with me, but then look at some of the things that I'm doing. I'm stating to my target market some of the success things that we are good for them. We've also looked at and researched the specific target that we're working with, that target vertical. And we're saying to them, we understand your pain or your problems or your issues that you're having. And then our messaging on the profile is geared to solving that pain, not a product, mind you, not a product. Stop selling products. Stop selling your line items on your things that you have. Sell to the pain you solve. That is such So that's thing number one. Thing number two is, if you're going to strategically message, make sure that you are building value into your messaging. And I know we have a great offering that we did with you, and we're giving away a copy of my perfect script kit. including the perfect script kit, is literally my head salesperson, Kathy. I have in there her scripts that we directly use. And don't copy my stuff verbatim, but you need to work on specific vertical. And if you're multiple verticals, it has to change, and that language has to be specific. And you also have to give that person that you're looking out to, you have to give them real value, something that they're really interested in, not what you're interested in selling them. That's fine. Maybe you get there down the road, but in the beginning stages, all you're trying to do is get them to raise their hand. You're just trying to get them to say, hey, okay, what you're trying to sell me, or what you're trying to pitch me on, or what you're trying to give me away for free has something that relates to what I struggle with. Now, all that being said, and also people are like, oh my God, this sounds like a lot of work. Of course it's a lot of work. That's how you differentiate yourself. So, I mean, think about that. Everybody that's out there doing this stuff, and it is a little bit spammy now. It's gotten worse in the last few years. Yeah. So you have to massively differentiate yourself by bringing true value. Your messaging has to have that. You can't ask for sales immediately. You can't get lazy. You have to be real value, real content. And the best way to do that, purely, go to a target vertical, ask them what their business challenges are. And I service, I coach the IT business owner, the large IT and managed service provider owner. A lot of you don't know what that is, but it's basically outsourced help desk and outsourced server and workstation management. That's the world I came from, so that's who I focus on. Yeah. I surveyed them. I asked them, what business challenges are you having? Not what IT problems are you having or any of these other things, but I asked them, what business challenges are you having? They come back with specific answers, and we deliver content, tons of free content across Facebook, across LinkedIn, across email, across webinars, across all this different stuff. We deliver these pieces of content, and we give them what they're struggling with. So that's what you really have to do. That whole thing comes down to putting in the front side work, researching your client, determine all the things that they're wanting or they're needing, and then sell to that pain through messaging.
So I want to make sure, I think so. And I want to make sure, and if you have questions, by the way, feel free to pop them in the comments. I'll be fielding the questions and asking them to Chris along the way. Okay, some people are saying they're not quite on LinkedIn yet. Some are LinkedIn. So let's start with a really basic question, which is, who should be on LinkedIn? Like, what is LinkedIn good for?
Well, and there's kind of two classes of people. There is, and I'll give you some great personal examples of this. My brother is in college. He's a 39-year-old senior in college. He decided to go back and change careers, and he was a car dealership finance guy. He's going back to be a mechanical engineer. His goal is to go out and build a resume. And so we worked on his LinkedIn last week. It's one of the things that he's doing. So there's that class of person, somebody that's looking for a job or building their resume. And then there's others that are the entrepreneur side. That's obviously what we're focusing on today. So honestly, anybody that works for someone that's not like in retail or something that's not necessarily applicable to doing B2B business at all. Yeah. Because remember, getting a job is also B2B, or trying to build a resume is also B2B. But the bottom line is, if you're B2B in any capacity, that doesn't mean that your end users are consumers. That means that whoever you're working with as vendors or potentially partners or in any capacity, you should be on LinkedIn. So realistically, it's just, I'm an employee looking for a job, resume, or I'm a business owner / executive / employee at a company, potentially looking to be an entrepreneur or other ways. So pretty much everybody that has a job should be there. It's just clarifying yourself.
I love that. Okay, that makes sense. And so then, as knowing that we're going to be attracting business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, authors, things like that, they want to be on there really to promote their business and build their brand. And what you were saying earlier is we really want to start, as should be common knowledge, but isn't always, is we want to add value, right? We're not saying buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. We're saying here's this thing to solve your problem. And we're inviting people in by helping them with some sort of free gift, download, something like that. Is that the best way to start?
Well, it's establishing yourself as an expert. That's really your ultimate goal, is to go into something and get established as an expert. I mean, realize that I've been on LinkedIn for, I think, since 2004, 2003. So I've been on there a long time. But I didn't start training this until 2 years ago, give or take. I had all and putting strategies in place and doing things. So when I started out with that, I wasn't Chris, the LinkedIn expert, or even Chris, the IT business coaching expert. You have to establish yourself as that. And it takes time. Like it takes giving out content, dropping value, putting procedures in place, things that, again, are valuable to your target audience. You have to do, and I don't care what vertical you're on or what medium you're on, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, any of these, you have to go to where your prospects are, and then you have to drop value that establishes you as an expert. That is the most, and Kristin, you're a great example of that. You don't know this. I didn't tell you this, actually. I mean, so you're going to get kind of like a dime from Chris right here randomly. I followed your stuff for the last 4 years. I've been watching you for 4 years. We just met officially like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But I almost came to one of your conferences. I think your Rise Live event like 4 years ago. I almost came there because I was actually sold my IT company, was looking for my next path.
There you go.
Something happened, but I saw you as an expert for a long, long time because you were out there, you were speaking. And look at what we're doing right now. We're doing video. Video is a big thing to establishing expertise. Again, doesn't matter what platform you're on. And Kristin and I can both take this video. We can download it when we're done and push it around the internet, push it out to email, different things. And it all comes down to establishing yourself to your field, your vertical, and note, or doing that as an expert, but establishing yourself to your expert. But note, it's really more important in the early stages to establish that vertical first, because here's the thing, that's also where people get a little bit lost. If you don't hyper focus on a vertical, then you have to really expand your expertise across the realm. And notice that with LinkedIn, I'm not necessarily hyper focused on a vertical, but I'm hyper focused on a product, and then I'm building it's one or the other. Either you have to hyper focus on a vertical and deliver your services into that, or you have to hyper focus on a product, and then your audience grows massively, but your audience also gets very what's the wrong word, kind of filled with all kinds of different people, and it's hard to focus. So the hyper focus thing early and establish yourself as an expert is really key, because you can always expand.
Yes.
Right.
But really knowing who you want to serve and going straight into that industry. You've had a lot of success, for instance, in the IT industry as one of your verticals, right? And so that gives your message more resonance, and it gives even just you, like as the entrepreneur, a focus of like who to call, where to look, where to speak, who to reach out to on LinkedIn, right?
Well, you think about the message that gets, let's just take IT business owners, for example. The message that I can give to them, it's a hyper focus to them. I was one of them, so I have an established expertise in that industry already. I also sold my business in that for 7 figures. So I have things that I can jump on top of immediately. And then I can go into that market and say, hey, I know what you guys are struggling with. I get out there on video. I built a big Facebook group. I built a massive LinkedIn presence. I built a massive email audience. And that stuff just takes time. In fact, I'm 3 days away right now from 2 years on my Facebook group, which is now at just over 5,600 IT business owners. So, but it just takes time. Though. Expertise, and it takes time to really hammer down through consistency and persistency. It's across, and Kristin, you and I have the same. It's funny. We only met officially 2 months ago, and we have the same. Like we're like this. We know the same mindset because we're using the same basic principles, along with consistency and persistent delivery, long-term delivery, to deliver, establish yourself as on that ladder of expertise.
So we talked a little last week about Facebook and using, let's say, your Facebook page, as a way to connect with people. And some of the tips that I think were helpful for people, and I think would be great for them to know as well on LinkedIn, is how often should they be posting, and like what kind of content should, obviously establishing yourself as an expert, you've already given that tip, but are there tips on like frequency or the kinds of post ideas that would help people do that on LinkedIn?
Sure. It's a great question, by the way. So, first of all, my team posts every single day. I actually don't do any of my posting. I have a social media strategist that I work with directly. Only because I'm so damn ADD, it's really hard for me to do that consistently. I know what I struggle with, and I outsource those pieces. That's been one of my biggest entrepreneurial things that I've done over the last 5 years is figure out what you suck at and have someone else that's good at it.
So smart.
So I'm not good at that. I'm good at content delivery and this kind of stuff and all the things. I'm good at the overall ideas, but just not the physical doing the work.
Day to day, yeah.
Absolutely. And if it was up to me, I'd probably post like once a week because I'm lazy. I just struggle with that. So I have Shelby posting. She posts every single day on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on all my platforms, and I have multiple groups. And we hit post basically because my business works directly with CEOs and decision makers on B2B side. We use Facebook groups, and LinkedIn. That's our basically our 3 platforms. Yeah. And we post every single day on all those platforms. And from a content standpoint, we're always doing one of 2 things. We're either getting engagement with a post, and if you guys look at my LinkedIn posts and my Facebook posts, I encourage you to do that. Go Facebook stalk me, LinkedIn stalk me. Look at how we're driving engagement. And the thing with LinkedIn that's tough is LinkedIn does not have nearly the engagement level that Facebook has. Even B2B, it's very difficult to do that. We're delivering the same exact content sometimes on Facebook. It has different cadence than it does on LinkedIn. So we switch things up and do them in different spots, and it just doesn't have as much engagement. So you have to be okay with 4 likes or 25 likes where you're in 100 or 150 on Facebook. And you just have to remember that has a lot to do with these guys. That screen time that people are spending on, you think about your own personal behavior on Facebook, you're like this, scroll. On LinkedIn, what do? Check messages, turn it off. They're working on it, they're trying to get that fixed. So I know that that's coming. I also know that live video is coming to LinkedIn.
Oh, that'll be cool.
To deliver good, valuable content that not only drives the engagement, like we said before, but then also gives them real value in their lives. So we post a lot of memes, inspirational memes and comments and quotes, things that make people think. And the engagement posts are one thing and the value posts are another thing, but that's kind of what we do. But we post every single day, 7 days a week, 24/7, or actually I should say how do you even say that? Not even 24/7, 365, but we post every day.
Daily.
Every single day, 365 days a year, we post to all those platforms and all those mediums. And the thing is, a lot of that is I'm delivering constant value, constant engagement. People see it all the time. And then we throw in live video on top of that. And on LinkedIn, you have to do recorded video, but we do all that on top of it. And what happens is your competitors start to fall off because it goes back to that consistent delivery and that persistent activity. You will differentiate yourself about being there a lot, and you will definitely leave your competition to the dust. And you have to, this stuff is the hardest, believing that you can do it, like getting in there and staying in that and being like, okay, I'm totally okay on video. And some of you that are watching, like Jose that just commented, I know that guy, he's one of my followers in my IT Facebook, actually, that just commented. He's a great, I don't care what, like people, those that meet me in person, I don't care what I look like. Like I've gotten way past the point where I give a rat's, to whether somebody's like, oh, your hair's out of place or you're balding or your head is shining. I'm like, I don't care. It is what it is.
That's good because look, I have this weird hair. Yeah. I don't know what's happening over here.
I'm doing all this stuff here. My wife's like, go get a hair transplant. I'm like, oh. So record. So she's always up my butt trying to get that done. But the bottom line is you have to not let that personal barriers get in your way. You have to be consistent and you have to believe in yourself, even though it's hard. Like it's hard to do this stuff in the beginning because, man, I remember my very first webinar that I did on my own. I had no people on it. Yeah. And you want to kick in the teeth to do a webinar for an hour with no viewers. That is hard.
I've done it.
Yeah, it is a hard thing.
Or you have like 2 people on, which is sometimes even worse. You have like 1 or 2 people and you're just thinking, can I just quit? I mean, can I just stop halfway through and say, look, you guys, this ain't happening. But you can't.
It's hard and you got to gut it out because content is king in this world. And we haven't even talked about YouTube and some of that other stuff. Like my big Q3 and Q4 things that I'm doing for my own stuff right now is YouTube, really growing my YouTube channel and then getting into YouTube ads. that's a whole nother animal, but we're working on that. But back to LinkedIn, it's really important that you're doing this stuff every single day and that you're just get it out there, get the content out there. Paralysis by analysis is a real thing. Fight through it, get the stuff delivered, and go. Like, you have to fight through those demons. It's a hard thing. I had one of my younger students right now. He's a 20-year-old business owner named Whit. He's based in Panama City Beach, Florida. He's just did his first live video ever for the first time this weekend, and now he did a second one. He's like, man, I sat there and thought about that live video for the last 2 hours, and it doesn't help. Like, the paralysis by analysis, you just got to go.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that here at Speak, Serve, Grow, because stepping on a stage is the same thing as like going on a live video. It feels scary, and our brain can tell us to stop when really we need to go, right? Going is actually the right thing to do for your business. Stepping to the front of the room, stepping on a stage, hitting live, hitting post on LinkedIn, or reaching out to somebody. Those forward actions that get you visible and get you moving ahead, they are scary. Now, what we talk about, and we will touch on this at the Rise as well, is that, the way I got through this myself was by realizing that is a very, and excuse everybody if this sounds a little too blunt, but it's very self-centered. It's like, oh, I'm worried about me. I'm worried about my ego, how I come off, how I look to people. When I had that realization, and I can still remember the day I had it, I was on my way driving to a speaking gig on the freeway, and I thought, oh, shizzle, like, it's wrapped in a little package of humility, but really it's self-centeredness. So what I encourage people to do is just to ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice your coolness, for a little bit of time, if it could help somebody today? And the answer for me and for my clients, and I know for you and your clients, Chris, is yeah, like, I could probably get over it. I don't need every single person to love me. And so when you come from a spirit of service, you're a little more willing to like walk through that fire, right?
I like that mindset a lot, actually. It's not something I thought of, because it's just, fighting through that paralysis is a real thing. And I just see that so much, but I like that mindset of, hey, if I can help just one person today, I can make a difference in life. And I will tell you, your community and my community, we've grown a lot over the last 3-4 years. Once you start helping a lot of people, everything changes, because you just wake up in the morning with this complete different sense of purpose. But I will tell you guys, 4 years ago, I'm not saying that I was hurting for cash or any of those things. I'm not one of those get rich quick poor guys, doing whatever stories. I came from a deep family. I sold my business for 7 figures and got into what I'm doing. But I was struggling with the what's my purpose thing a lot. And I had just come out of I sold my company, did a 1-year consulting contract for a C-level firm. I was C-level at a company, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And getting past those stages is a really big step in personal development too.
Absolutely. Now, I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure we keep this pretty tight so everybody can enjoy it and rewatch it as well, because there's tons of value in here that you're giving everybody. So I want to talk, before we wrap up, we'll talk about shifting from the value giving to like, how does that turn into a sale? So we will talk about that. But first, I wanted to give you a quick question that's coming up in the comments from Taryn Lee. And she's asking, how valuable is creating a LinkedIn group? Should that be a goal of people or not so much?
I don't even have a LinkedIn group, if that tells you anything. And that's
there's our answer.
And it's only for the one thing of the engagement piece. People spend literally so much time on Facebook. I have Facebook groups, and we do direct messaging on LinkedIn. I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying this is what I've chosen to do. I see some of the huge influencers that are out there. A couple of them work, but the bottom line, as I look at it, how much time do people spend on the platform? And this is changing, getting better and better as Microsoft bought LinkedIn a couple of years ago, and it's getting better as they go, and they're driving it because they have some influx of cash and all these different things. But the bottom line is I have Facebook groups, and I will tell you, there's nobody that's got a more rigid group of business owners than me. I'm straight B2B. They're all on Facebook, folks.
Yeah.
Like they're on LinkedIn, yes, and we're teaching them how to prospect on LinkedIn, but it is a much slower play, and people are not engaged with the platform like they are on LinkedIn, like they are on Facebook. I'm sorry. So I recommend you're more than welcome to, but I don't even have a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group. I'm sorry.
LinkedIn group. Yeah. So this is great because it really, this whole theme, if you've been following along in the series, and if you're not enrolled, use the link. It's all over this page. But do hop into the free series so you have all of these recordings and so that you can watch this again. And you'll also get Chris's free gift, which is so valuable. He's modeling what we're teaching here, which is give valuable content for free. You're going to get his scripts. I mean, literally the actual templates that his own sales team uses to close. And you guys close 5 and 6 figures just from LinkedIn alone, correct? Monthly.
And you and I were chatting back and forth last week, and I said, here's our July results so far. I don't have them in front of me right now, but that's just one salesperson on my team, Kathy, using, and she, we drive a lot of appointments to her bottom line and to her calendar through multiple different channels, but she has her own virtual assistant that works with her, and she is prospecting live on LinkedIn. I do build the lists for her and give their VA and all that, but they handle the messaging and they do it all. They're almost like their little 2-person team.
Yeah.
And she was, do you remember how many? I think she had
I'll look it up while you're chatting if you want. Yeah.
I think she had like 20 appointments alone this month. That was last week on LinkedIn, just in July.
You had 93 connections and 21 booked strategy sessions.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's real numbers that she really had. And that was what day was that? Do you know? That was like,
that was,
I think it was like 7 days ago.
Yeah, it was back like on the 14th, I think, the 13th or 14th.
7, 8 days ago right now. So in the first 14 days of the month, she had those numbers. So
yeah, that's huge.
It's not her first month, but it doesn't matter if you're following the steps, and she's been with me 4 months. She's following Linked Academy and going through the steps, and she's learning, and she never had touched LinkedIn besides having a profile at her previous roles. So that really works. And it's not for the, I'll say this, it's not for the non-detail oriented or struggle with execution people, but it works. And that's kind of why I give her a VA too, because those strong sales-minded closers, she's a closer, struggle with detail. Same thing with me. I struggle with detail. I followed the DISC profile chart. We're all the same. All of us that are like entrepreneur people, we all struggle with that attention to detail, repetitive task stuff.
Yeah, that's not our gift.
And I think she actually took it as a little bit of an insult when I said it to her at first. I'm like, you gotta understand, it's a personality profile. You are a closer, not a prospector.
Yeah, and don't we want a closer?
I'm not going to make my closer a prospect. A lot of people try and do this with their sales team. They try and bring in a closer and be like, go find leads. That doesn't work that way. It's built that way. I'm not built that way. You have systems that do that, but so I'll go on all day.
That's so true. People try to hire people and make them be every role possible when that's just not the way it works. And we can do that to ourselves as well as leaders. So make sure that you're championing your gifts, just like in this series, you're looking at all the platforms available. You don't do all of them, do the ones where you excel, where you know you're going to find your clients and where you're going to get your best bang for your buck. So not everybody needs to be on Instagram, but some of you should be, but everyone pretty much should have some presence on Facebook. And if you're doing work with any kind of businesses, you need to be on LinkedIn. So coming back to the strategy of turning LinkedIn leads into clients. So if we're giving value, we're posting daily, we're positioning ourselves as experts, how do we turn someone from a stranger into an actual lead where we can get into a sales conversation without being spammy? And I know your free gift, and we can talk about that before we end up. We'll give them like way more detail, but what would be the quick down and dirty?
Well, it all comes down to that value, giving that value away, making sure you deliver that good value, but putting it in, and in the free gift, you can kind of see how it sequences down, but making sure you build a qualified list, first of all, give some real true value to your prospect. It takes research and figuring things out to do that properly. But then as you go, just nurturing them, try not to sell. Just your goal should be simply a meeting or a strategy call. That's what your goal is. Don't worry about selling them. That will come as you become an expert and as you establish trust. So worry about the right list, giving them true value. Then if nothing else, make sure you ask for a small strategy session to help them out in their business. The colder the lead, the more you have to give freely to get them to trust you. I know that's the same stuff that you talk about, right?
For sure. Absolutely. So I'm trying to post the link to the series real quick. Let's see, click here. So if you're not enrolled in the series, I'm going to post the link in the comments here real quick. Make sure you do. And then you'll see there's kind of links all over the place to get to the bonus area. One will be under this video. Once we process this recording, right under Chris's video, you'll see an orange link that says access bonuses. And again, his is an entire kit that walks through this process, because we're kind of ripping and rocking in this quick live, but you'll have scripts and you'll really have a mini system that you can follow that'll get you introduced to how to kind of transition people. So are you taking people from like maybe them commenting on your post or engaging with you in some way, and then asking, can I send you a quick message, a private message? Like, are you asking for permission, or are you just kind of reaching out to people who seem like they're expressing some interest?
So we have a couple different ways that we do it. We do, and this alone is probably a 15 to 20 minute call or a discussion, but I'll try and do a short version. We do a lot of stuff where we're saying we have, and it all comes down to having your community and your followers and some of this other stuff too. So we put out a lot of free content. We have a cadence of weekly free content. So we do 52 pieces a year that are all free content delivered at my target vertical. And do you want to see this? Yes. Then they'll be going to a landing page, opt in to download that. Then they get an upsell in some capacity into either a free strategy call or take a look at something else, blah, blah, blah. That's one strategy, and that's on Facebook. That's also on LinkedIn. Then we have a whole nother cold prospecting system, and that is only on LinkedIn. We only cold prospect on LinkedIn, to where we're building a very qualified list. We show you how to do that inside of Linked Academy using a product from LinkedIn called Sales Navigator. We show you how to build a really qualified list, and then we are cold prospecting out to them. Now that list, what's really key on that qualified list is that, sorry, there's dogs at WeWork. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's okay. My dogs just came in the front door, so my dogs are slurping water and trotting around all of a sudden.
Yeah, there's some ladies walking full dogs around WeWork. So.
We'll have a dog moment, a little dog break.
Bring my other dog. It's Austin. There's dogs everywhere here. It's crazy. But it's really important that you're building that qualified list of ideal prospects, not just like all over the place. It should be a very tight, clean, qualified list. You notice that I said I build Kathy's lists, because I want to make sure that those decision makers are out there and it's the right list of the people she should be talking to. We then use our cold sequence. We connect with them. Once the connection is accepted, we send a cold message saying, hey, it's Kathy, and all this stuff is in that perfect script kit that you're getting. It's literally her exact sequences. Hey, it's Kathy, blah, blah, blah. Like, I have her exact messaging sequences that she's using. These are live, real things that she's using, and this was updated just to go live with you. So it's all her stuff in the same stuff she's using live. Exactly. Hey, it's Kathy. Wondering how I can help you grow your business, or how I can help you with your goal, what's your plan, blah, 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 right? And then they respond back, or they don't. And if, some people don't accept the connection, some people don't respond, you have to be okay with no. You have to be okay with no response. Sales is a numbers game, period. That's what this is about. And somebody that wants, and then when the value comes to them, they're like, ooh, like they need to say like, whoa, really? That's free? Like, that's the mindset. That's why it's so important to get that value piece right. Spend the time on it, because you want them to be like, just like with this perfect script kit, people are saying like, wait, that's free? Seriously? Yeah,
because you pay a ton of money for that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And they're raising their hand saying, yeah, I think you got something there. And then when they do that, okay, how about we book a strategy call and let's talk about how this can work towards your business. Then, nowhere in there are we saying, buy from me. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do, here's my free gift. It's value. It's real value. It's got something that you really care about. Now, let's talk about how we can implement this for you. Who's going to say no to that? Like, very few people will. And if they don't say yes, then they don't say yes. I mean, not everybody's on LinkedIn, but that's a cold prospecting method we use. Now, you can also take that and use it on cold calling. Phone cold calling. It's the same exact thing. You just make it voice. You could also use it on cold email. We do a lot of, and cold email is also and it's all the same. Once you find a value piece that really works, man, it changes everything, because they want it. And when people want what you're giving away, you can't force stuff down their throats. That's the thing. Everybody tries to do that. They're like, oh, let me give them something they can get everywhere. No, that doesn't work. You have to give them something
No,
they can't.
it can't be bland. It can't be boring. It can't be low value, like some free, POS thing that you dust off of an old shelf. It has to be real valuable, easy to implement, quick results if somebody actually used the tips or the template or the script or the whatever it is that you're giving away. And that's why your gift is so amazing. If you have not, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it can't be. We got a little bit of delay, folks. So it is what we're dealing with live video here. But it can't be confusing either. It has to be a super simple thing that they get, because the confused mind says no, period. Every single time the confused mind says no.
So true. It's a great point. And by the way, it's just like another really smart reason to download Chris's gift is even if you just wanted to model a really great, smart gift. But so get in the series, use the link. And if you're already in there, click on the bonuses and download his script kit. It is extremely valuable. He should be charging really thousands for it because it's going to generate thousands for your business. So everybody, please be sure you say thanks to Chris for giving that away. And I just wanted to spotlight before we wrap up, you made such a great point. When you make the conversation about helping people, it's the same way we book gigs. We don't book gigs by saying, I want to speak on your stage. And you're not going to get a client on LinkedIn or anywhere else by saying, I want to have you as a client. You will get people if you say, hey, I have an idea, something you might find helpful. Would you like me to send it over? Or I have an idea for some content for an upcoming meeting, might make for a great meeting, or for your conference, would love to share it with you if it would be helpful. When we reach out with a spirit of service, people are appreciative, or they may not be a good fit for you and they may take a pass, but no one's going to be mad at you, right? And that's where you want to just start playing those numbers, right?
And just to kind of finalize that, you heard me say this earlier, but the colder the lead. So you think about, messaging somebody on LinkedIn that we've never talked to before. That's an ice cold lead. They may have heard of me because they're a vertical, but they're still an ice cold conversation, ice cold lead. They don't know Kathy or any of the rest of my team. The more cold they are, the more you have to give with complete abandon. Just give. The more cold they are, you have to give freely to get anything back. So stop trying to take immediately. You can't take. You have to give until you get to that point. Think about it. I actually often relate this to dating. Just imagine if you meet a girl on the street and start and just go kiss her immediately. I mean, what kind of reaction do you get? You're going to get a big slap across the face. It's the same. This is business dating. Get to know them a little bit. Give them something. Give. Then as they build trust, how can I help you? Oh, let's talk. Let's have a meeting. Let's have a Zoom session. Let's do that. Then you build a relationship. And then at some point, they're like, you're giving me so much. How can I help you? Like, how you're giving me everything. Well, you can sign up for my coaching. How about that?
Yeah.
That works.
Let's work together. Let's make it happen. You reminded me of Dr. Phil. I used to watch Dr. Phil back in the day because I worked for NBC.
Oh, that's not fair.
Oh, that's so funny. He, when I worked for NBC, the TV was just always on in the office, and he was on every afternoon. And he would talk about in personal relationships, you have to deposit something in the bank before you withdraw. And that's exactly what you're saying. You have to deposit in the bank account of the person that you want to do business with. And the less you've deposited, right? If it's a total stranger, you've got to take your time and lay those deposits in before the person's probably going to be super interested. But this is where you can really build your reputation, build your name as an expertise. You're getting visible, you're being of service, and generating business all at the same time. So I want to thank you, Chris Weiser, for being a rock star and being my guest today. I'm hoping we're going to get you to come speak at the Rise as well, which would be awesome. I know everybody is super excited to learn more from you. And be sure if you're watching this, if you're going to be able to, if you're watching the replay or you watch this live, make sure you go into the Highly Visible Entrepreneur, click on the link to the bonuses so you can get Chris's download. It's going to make you tons of money because, again, you can use it on any platform, not just LinkedIn. You could use it on Facebook, email, picking up the phone. It's a great script. You can customize it, rock it out, get visible. Please be sure in the comments below that you thank Chris for all of his content and that you go visit his Facebook page and his LinkedIn profile as a really good example of how you could be taking action on a daily basis to stay visible, get more leads, get more clients. You rock, my friend Chris. You guys rock who are watching, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. My guest is Michelle Schaefer. we're going to be talking about collaborating, which we've obviously been modeling all week. This is a collaboration between Chris and I. I'm sure we're going to find more ways to play together. And collaborating is a brilliant way to A, have fun, B, make new business friends, and C, grow your business all at the same time. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 in the East. And until then, keep on rocking, and we'll see you soon. Bye.